In a busy city, where people rushed by without looking down, there lived a young woman named Clara. At just 24 years old, she carried more strength than most could imagine. Orphaned at 16, she had learned to survive on little, dreaming big while living in a world that often forgot people like her. She ran a small food stall near a crowded street corner, selling plates of warm jollof rice and fried plantains. It wasn't much, but it was hers. Every morning before sunrise, she'd prepare the food herself, wrap her headscarf tightly, and set up her little wooden table, hoping for enough customers to earn for the day. Most days, she barely made enough to eat. But every single day, rain or shine, she saved one plate of food, not for herself, but for someone else. That someone was an old, crippled beggar who sat nearby in a rusty wheelchair, wrapped in tattered clothes. People passed him by like he was invisible, some even scoffed at his presence. His face was weathered, his voice hoarse from years of calling for help. Clara didn't know his name, so she called him Papa G. Every evening, after her last customer left, Clara would walk over with a steaming plate of food, sit beside him, and talk as he ate. She never asked for anything in return. She simply cared. Some nights, when she had no money left and hadn't eaten all day, she still gave Papa G the last plate. Her stomach would growl, but her heart remained full. People began to notice. Some laughed, others whispered. A few even told her she was foolish. "You're poor yourself," one man once said. "Why waste food on a nobody?" Clara smiled gently and replied, "If I have something, then I'm not poor." Weeks turned into months. Seasons changed. Still, Clara showed up with food and love. Slowly, Papa G became more than just a beggar to her. He was family. He would sometimes tell stories of his past, of a life filled with riches and laughter, now long gone. She listened, never doubting, never judging. To her, he was simply a soul in need. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in golden red, Clara handed Papa G his usual plate. This time, he didn't take it right away. He looked at her, really looked, into her tired eyes, her worn-out shoes, and the smile that never faded. "I've been watching you," he said softly, "for a long time." Clara chuckled nervously. "Well, I hope I passed inspection." He didn't laugh. Instead, he took a deep breath and whispered, "Tomorrow, don't bring me food." Her smile faded. "Why? Are you okay?" "I'll be gone," he said. "And when you see me again, everything will change." Before she could ask what he meant, he wheeled himself away. Clara stood alone, clutching the empty plate, confused and strangely unsettled. The next day, he was gone, and so was the rest of her world. Clara waited. She showed up at their usual spot, plate in hand, expecting to see Papa G's wrinkled face and worn-out wheelchair, but he wasn't there. She waited the next day, and the one after that. Days turned into a week. Papa G had vanished without a trace. People who used to scoff at her kindness now stared with curiosity. Some even asked if she was still feeding that old beggar man. "I don't know where he went," Clara would say softly, trying to hide the ache in her chest. It wasn't just about the food. It was the conversations, the laughter, the way he always said, "You have a heart like gold." It felt like a piece of her was missing. But life didn't stop for missing people. Her food stall struggled more than ever. Business slowed down, rains came hard, and her little wooden table barely survived a storm. One evening, exhausted and soaked from the rain, Clara sat behind her stall, staring at the empty space where Papa G used to be. "Why did you leave?" she whispered into the night. Without her knowing, in a tall, modern building across town, an old man was watching a live video on his phone. On the screen, Clara looked tired but was still smiling as she helped a young mother and her child. He exhaled slowly, emotion flickering across his face. "She passed," he murmured to himself. "She really passed." This man was not just anyone. He was Chief Austin Gregory, one of the wealthiest men in the country, a self-made billionaire known for his ruthless business tactics and mysterious disappearances. Many thought he was eccentric. Others believed he was mad, but only a few knew the truth. Chief Austin had been living in disguise as Papa G, testing humanity's last spark of true kindness. He had traveled across cities disguised as a beggar, observing how people treated those with nothing. Most ignored him. A few gave coins out of guilt. Some mocked him, but never once had he met someone like Clara. No one had ever given him everything when they had so little themselves. No one had ever seen him as human until her. Back at her stall, Clara was struggling. Her savings were gone. Her pots were chipped. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. One morning, she woke up with no money, no food, and no hope. That day, she decided to close the stall. She packed her things quietly, wiped her tears, and walked away, unsure of what the future held. With no family, no job, and no plan, she wandered aimlessly through the city. And then something strange happened. A white car pulled up beside her. It was sleek, polished, and expensive, the kind of car that didn't belong in this part of town. The window rolled down. Inside sat Papa G. But he looked different, clean-shaven, dressed in fine clothes, his eyes sharp and full of purpose. He was no longer hunched or frail. Beside him sat a tall man in a suit, clearly his assistant. "Get in," he said gently. Clara froze. You're not." "I am," he said. "And we have much to talk about." Clara stood frozen, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. This was impossible. The frail old man who used to sit in the rusty wheelchair, begging for food, now sat before her in a crisp suit with sharp eyes and calm confidence. No longer Papa G, Chief Austin Gregory. Without thinking, she stepped forward and touched the car window as if to confirm he was real. You were never poor," she whispered. He smiled gently. "I was never hungry." Her mind raced. All those months of giving him her last plate, of skipping meals, of worrying about his well-being, it had all been an act. But why? She climbed into the car without another word. They drove through the city in silence at first, the streets blurring past like memories she couldn't quite place. Then, finally, Chief Austin spoke. "I wanted to see if kindness still existed," he said. "Real kindness, not the kind people show when they expect something in return. Not the kind that comes from wealth or comfort. I wanted to see someone give everything when they had nothing." He turned to look at her. "And I found you." Clara didn't know what to feel: shock, betrayal, relief. "Why me?" she asked quietly. "Because you gave when no one else would. You saw me not as a beggar, but as a person. You fed me even when your stomach growled. You loved without asking for anything back." His voice softened. "That is rare." They arrived at a tall building of glass, steel, and elegance. Clara barely noticed where they were going until she was led into a massive room with a grand sign above the entrance, "Clara's Place." It was a restaurant, a luxurious, beautifully designed restaurant filled with soft lighting, elegant tables, and the scent of home-cooked meals. But more than that, it was hers. "Everything you see here belongs to you," Chief Austin said. Clara's breath caught. This can't be real." "It is," he replied. "You've earned it." She looked around, tears forming in her eyes. Her own restaurant, a place where people could come eat and feel seen, just like she once made Papa G feel. But there was one last surprise. Chief Austin stood up from his chair and walked. No wheelchair, no limp, just strong, steady steps across the floor. "I could have walked all along," he admitted, "but I needed to see how people treated me when they thought I had nothing." Clara didn't speak for a long time. Then, slowly, she smiled, and that smile became a mission. Within months, Clara's place became more than just a restaurant. It was known for its warm service, its delicious food, and, most importantly, its generosity. Every evening, a special table was set aside for the hungry, the homeless, the forgotten, no questions asked, no money needed. Clara started a charity called Clara's Food Love, feeding hundreds every week. She never forgot where she came from, and she never stopped giving. Chief Austin visited often, always smiling proudly. "You changed my life," Clara told him once. "Not because you gave me this place, but because you reminded me that kindness is never wasted." He nodded. "And you reminded me that humanity still has hope. Kindness is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in love." Clara had nothing but gave everything, and in return, she received more than she ever dreamed. True kindness expects nothing in return. Clara gave without expecting anything, not recognition, not gratitude, not even a smile. Her selflessness was pure, and that is what made it extraordinary. Real kindness comes from the heart, not from a place of expectation. What goes around comes around. Even when life seemed unfair and she had little to give, Clara chose compassion. In time, her goodness was rewarded in ways she never imagined. This reminds us that doing good doesn't go unnoticed. Sometimes, life finds a way to bless you back. Wealth does not define character, kindness does. Chief Austin had everything but wanted to test the soul of humanity. Clara had almost nothing but was richer in spirit than anyone he had ever met. This story teaches us that how we treat others, especially those who can offer us nothing, reveals the true measure of our hearts. Let this story inspire you to be kind, even when it's hard, because every act of love matters. If you believe in the power of kindness, hit like, share this video, and subscribe so we can bring you more soul-touching stories like this. Thank you very much for watching. Stay blessed. Until next time.